On March 3rd, 1945, James Houston, a 21-year-old U.S. Navy pilot, took off from the USS Natoma Bay, an aircraft carrier engaged in the Battle of Iwo Jima. Houston was flying with a squadron of 8 pilots, including his friend Jack Larson, to strike a nearby Japanese transport vessel. Houston's plane was shot in the nose and crashed into the ocean. 23 years later, in April of 1998, a couple from Louisiana, Bruce and Andre Leninger, were blessed with the arrival of a baby boy whom they named James. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's me, your host Dr. Seneng, and I'm here with a fascinating story about reincarnation that makes us look at the issue very seriously. Have we lived here before? Guys, when James was only 22 months old, James and his father visited a flight museum where James displayed a remarkable fascination with aeroplanes, especially World War II aircraft. James started watching a video on a Navy flight squad, which he watched repeatedly for weeks and weeks. James' fascination with this subject grew to a level where he started saying repeatedly the words, "airplane crash on fire." He would slam his toy plane's nose first onto the coffee table, as if in a fiery demonstration of what he had seen before. After a few weeks, James started having nightmares and he would shout, "Airplane crash on fire, little man can't get out." He would be thrashing and kicking his legs. James started talking to his parents about a crash he had experienced firsthand. "Before I was born, I was a pilot and my airplane got shot in the engine and it crashed into the water, and that's how I died." James added that he flew off a boat and that his plane was shot by the Japanese. When his parents asked the name of the boat, he said Natoma. When his parents asked James who little man was, he would say James or me. And he said he remembered a guy called Jack Larson. When James was 2.5, he saw a photo of Iwo Jima in a book and said, "My plane got shot down there, Daddy." Guys, let's think about this. How did a little boy know all this? Many skeptics would say this is childish nonsense, and they would ask, where is the scientific base? Well, let's see. Guys, one of the world's leading psychiatrists, Dr. Jim Tucker of the University of Virginia, also a well-known researcher on the scientific study of reincarnation or rebirth, was contacted by the parents of James when James was 11 years old. He interviewed the Leninger family and studied the child and commented that James, who claims to have been shot down by the Japanese, flew off a ship called Natoma, had a friend there named Jack Larson. His plane got hit and the engine crashed in the water, quickly sank, and said he was killed at Iwo Jima. "We have documentation for all of this," said Dr. Tucker. Guys, what do you think? Dr. Tucker also added, it turns out that there was one guy from the ship Natoma Bay. Guys, remember James said the boat was called Natoma? Dr. Tucker also added, this man was killed during the Iwo Jima operations, and everything we have documented from James's statements fits with his life. Reincarnation is a subject that has been scientifically studied by various intellectuals around the world for decades. Guys, Tucker has written 2 books summarizing his research, Life Before Life, and the other book is Return to Life. Guys, in another case, a 7-year-old girl named Nicole remembered living in a small town on C Street in the early 1900s. She remembered much of the town having been destroyed by a fire and often talked of wanting to go home. Through research, Dr. Tucker hypothesized Nicole was describing Virginia City, Nevada, a small mining town that was destroyed by fire in 1875, where the main road was called C Street. Tucker traveled to Virginia City with Nicole and her mother. As they drove down the road into the town, Nicole remarked, "They didn't have these black roads when I lived here before." Nicole had described strange memories from her previous life. She said there were trees floating in the water. She said horses walked down the streets, and she talked about a hoolie dance. Research showed that there had been once a massive network of river flutes used to transport logs to the town to construct nearby mine shafts, and that wild horses wandered through the streets of the town. Also about the Hooli dance. It's a type of Irish dance that was popular there at the time. Guys, there were many parts, Dr. Tucker says, that were hard to dismiss as childish imagination, as Nicole showed so much emotion and passion when she was talking about her past life. Plus the evidence and documentation was there to prove Nicole's claims were accurate. So guys, where do we go from here? I highly recommend you read Tucker's books on reincarnation. And guys, these books are fascinating and really trigger a lot of thought in the minds of all of us. Even in the minds of those who would say, this is rubbish, I would not believe this. That's it for tonight, guys. Thank you. Good night.